This is a rant video coming to you from Venice, Italy. And the title of this video is The Lost Charm of the American. And I could also call it the lost charm of the great American doofus. And by doofus, I mean that with a lot of endearment, because I'm referring here to kind of the way Americans are stereotyped and looked down on by the rest of the world, you know, particularly historically in Europe, but really everywhere. And in that stereotype, you know, Americans are like these big, unsophisticated children, right? We're just like these goofy, kind of happy people. We don't really know how to behave. We, you know, we're kind of simple. We only speak English because why would we need to know anybody else's language? We, you know, we don't know anything about what's going on in any other part of the world because the United States is the world to Americans. You know, we can't find any other country on a map. People in the United States, they can't even find their own state on a map, and blah 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 blah. Right? It goes on and on. And you know, this is kind of the, you know, the predominant stereotype, right? Americans are these, like, you know, loud, badly dressed, fat people, you know, all of this stuff. And, you know, just so you don't think I'm just dumping on Americans here, let me give an example, you know, from my own past. So, you know, my wife and I, we came to Venice maybe about a decade ago, and we were staying at a hotel out at St. Helena, and you know, in the breakfast room they had this toaster that was malfunctioning, and it was perfectly obviously what was wrong with it, like something was just jammed in it or something like that, and they were all dithering, right? All the people that worked there, like, oh, we got to get the right person, oh, this is such a big deal, right, and everything. And like, I knew exactly what to do, you know, so I just kind of stepped up there, and, you know, I was thinking, oh, I can fix this fucking thing, and I just grabbed the thing and turned it upside down, and started banging it on the glass counter, and the people came running over. Oh, stop! You know, it caused this huge commotion, and you know, and it's you know, my wife and I had a good laugh about this, because, you know, it was like, you know, sure, it was like kind of assholish behavior, but we realized it like kind of captured something quintessential about Americans. There's like a naive can-do exuberance about Americans that distinguishes them from, you know, from a lot of people in Europe, right? There's a kind of lack of inhibition about Americans, and so. Okay, so, you know, so Americans suffer this stereotype, and like most stereotypes, there's like at least a grain of truth to it all. But it kind of leaves the question in my mind is, you know, why are Americans charming, right? Because, like, in a sense, what I'm describing is not exactly charming, right? It's not bad, but it's not exactly charming. And I'm going to tell you where the charm comes from. The charm comes from the fact that America, you know, in the past, like in the 70s and 80s and all, even the 90s a bit, we basically defined the popular artistic culture for the entire world. The entire world. If you think about it, was America's, like, maybe not biggest, but most important export commodity in the 20th century. It's Hollywood, no doubt. What was the second most important? American pop music, okay? The whole rest of the world, and particularly Europe, right? Our movies and our music and all, it defined their aspirations and dreams. Our music became the soundtrack of their lives. So, you know, this is part of the equation when you think about, like, the great American doofus, because when people would come up against, you know, you have this really nice, cheerful person in front of you and all, and you have this attitude towards them, you have to face the fact that that person came out of a society that also gave you Michael Jackson, Madonna, Prince, Stevie Wonder, Lionel Richie, Billy Joel, Tina Turner, just Aretha Franklin, whoever. It just goes on and on and on. And in terms of movies, like we gave the world virtually all their movie stars, all the big ones, you know, and movies, Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, you know, basically the 70s and the 80s in America, and particularly like if you add in America's little brother, if you will, the UK, it was like the high watermark of like popular art, you know, in the 20th century. And it's that dissonance, right? It made people realize that like this kind of this exuberance, this exuberant behavior of Americans, right? The fact that they're so uninhibited, the fact that they're so self-confident of themselves, right? They want to look down on it, but they have to realize that all of that comes from the society that basically gave them everything that they are defining their lives around. Okay, so why is this all important? Well, it's important because this is all gone now. This doesn't exist. America has gone from the center of popular art and culture to basically close to absolute zero. What on earth does America export right now? Let's take music for example. What the fuck do we export? Taylor Swift? Taylor fucking Swift? Are you kidding me? The rotting corpse of hip hop? Yeah, that's it in terms of music. Oh, and don't even get me started on American country music. I mean, I'm sorry. I refuse to believe that anybody listens to American country music outside of the borders of America. I mean, maybe they do, but like, I would be astonished, and I just kind of don't believe it, because why would they, right? It's like everything musically is atrocious right now. And in terms of movies, I mean, honestly, American movies, they suck. They suck donkey balls. They suck so bad. It's nothing but just total trash action films and, you know, like really vacuous and clumsy intellectual explorations of wokeism and, you know, and just like sophomoric comedy. That's it. That's all we do. So like there's nothing coming out of America. So where does this leave like the great American doofus, right? The once proud American doofus. Where does it leave them? Well, you know, he's still here. They're still here, but they're not charming anymore, right? The charm has worn off because our society, American society, we don't produce anything that the world actually wants anymore, right? We don't produce anything that they want. The aesthetic center of gravity, right, for movies and music and pop culture, right, that has all left the United States. Where has it gone? It's gone all out into the rest of the world. It resides there now. If you think about it, where are all the interesting movies coming from? Southeast Asia, the Middle East, South America, right? Music is coming from all over the place. I'll tell you, when you come over here to, like just say to Italy, right? I mean, this is what you see when you're around in Italy. They're playing the American pop music of the 1980s everywhere, all the way up to 1989. They don't play anything after 1989, right? They've determined that that's kind of when all the magic ended. But they play it like, you know, like you'll never hear Nirvana over here. But up to 1989, they'll just play that music constantly, right? The music that defined their lives before, the music that made the American doofus like, you know, like this this kind of amazing figure that was barely understandable. And so what else did they listen to? Well, I'll tell you what they listened to. They listened to the pop music of the rest of the world, right? They listened to European pop music. They listened to Southeast Asian pop music, all kinds of African pop music. You hear all kinds of stuff here, okay? You never hear Taylor Swift. I don't think I've ever heard Taylor Swift. I come to Italy quite a bit. I go to France quite a bit. You never hear Taylor Swift, not that I can recall anyway. So I mean, yeah, you know, and in terms of movies, we don't export. I mean, we don't even export movie stars anymore. Tom Cruise was the last one, and you know, and he's basically like getting kind of mummified at this point. Like he looks kind of weird. He might be toast, and you know, it's like. So we just don't export. So what the fuck do we export? I mean, think about this. What does America export anymore? Nothing that anyone wants, right? We kind of, okay, maybe we export Elon Musk's AI girlfriend, right? How about that as an export, right? You have this creepy fucking thing, you know, saying, "I'll always love you," you know, and I guess Elon Musk like watches this shit and jacks off because he's tired of fathering children. Women are getting to be a problem because there's always a baby at the end of it. So now he does this shit. But you know what? It's like the rest of the world has no need for that, right? The rest of the world, like, you know, men are happy to find women to be with or other men, but they're going to find a human to be with, right? So Elon Musk's AI girlfriend and all this AI bullshit. How about the idea that like, oh, AI can take everybody's jobs and we can all starve? Yeah, that's a great export. I mean, obviously it's incredibly sad, and you know, you can kind of see the loss of the charm of the American, also just in the general attitude that people have toward America. People don't want to come live here. Like, why would anybody come live here? You're going to leave a country that like gives you health care as a right, and you're going to go, you know, live in some country where you have no health care and you can go bankrupt and die. I mean, it's like, who the fuck would do that? Nobody, right? So they don't want to come live here, but you know, they don't even want to visit. They don't even want to visit the United States. And you know, another thing is the Americans used to be charming because they could practice their English, right? Because America was this amazing place that they could one day aspire to go to, right? So you could find a cheerful American and you could practice your English. Well, you know, they can learn English online and they don't need us, and they speak English better than most of the country anyway. Right? So, I mean, we need to import foreigners to come in and teach Americans English as a first language. That's what we need to do. So, you know, it's very sad. It's a very sad state of affairs. But like when you come over here and sort of wander around and kind of, you know, think about where America is really sitting and what it means that like the nexus of art and culture just vacated American society. It's like incredibly significant, and speaking as an American, it's incredibly depressing. And to get that back, I mean, give me a break. I mean, you're talking about, I mean, this is a topic for a much longer and much deeper video, which, you know, maybe I will try to put together sometime, you know, but just in brief, I mean, this collapse of American society and American art, I mean, like it was decades in the making. And like to unravel this and rebuild a vitality in that sector, I mean, if it's even possible at all, you're talking decades. You're talking decades to do it. And meanwhile, the whole rest of the world has just kind of moved on. The center has moved on. And so, you know, what it means to be American, especially vis-a-vis this, typical, stereotype and all. I mean, the whole meaning has really shifted, and this was kind of one of my Christmas realizations here, wandering around Italy. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this rant, and thanks for your time, and we'll see you on the next one.